Get registered online. Let's see. I've increased the quality of this. Let's see. Like, how stable are we? There we go. Please stop kicking. Oh, fine. And it looks like Twitch is sitting stable. It's not twitchy. ah. Ah. So still slowly weaning myself off of a major amount of caffeine. You know, that just seems to hit you. Probably should get more sleep. Well, that's typical. I could always use more sleep. There's times where I'm up all night. And there's times where I'm like sleeping half the day. It's a fluctuation. But sadly enough, I only sleep 5 hours solid, and then the rest of the time I'm resting or in a half state of wake and sleep. So today I'm gonna be doing some Ging Snaps because I've been working really hard at trying to get my art style where I want it is, and I finally hit a breakthrough. And I went, this is the update. This is where it's gonna sit at. And now I'm just working at streamlining it, practicing it, making sure I can get it down pat, like without any issue. Draw it on command. So I've been just drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing in Ging Snaps style. So that's what I'm going to continue on doing. And I've set up an Illustrator file so I can easily export it out because I'm going to be using a varied kind of a system, because when I have the website up, I'm going to be using this also as a means of offering it up to other artists that want to make their webtoons. So the simple little template I'm making now is so I can present this to anyone and go, this is what you can use. This will help you create a webtoons, a webcomic, and hopefully it'll be all worth that effort. So at the same time, if not, then it's still a bunch of work that I've done, because like what I want to see myself do, and this is a very ambitious idea, is to make it a bit of an animation too. So there'll be, instead of like your PNGs, these should be GIFs, or I forget the name of the enhanced JPEG, because there's also another enhanced JPEG that also can run like a GIF does, which might be the more ideal way, because when it comes down to it, I want to make sure it runs smoothly for everyone. And if JPEG has more simplified colors, I'm not using some spectacular like color scheme across this. It's pretty, you know, laid back and calm about the elaborateness of it. There. Not in there. Thought it would be. Maybe it is. Oh, that's where I put it. Nope. Well, it's where I thought I put it. Well, I would like to show the thing I had produced for today, but it looks like I might not be able to. Where I put it. Oh, there I put it. There, I actually found it. Yay. I'll be right back. I'll go grab one more thing. Ah, it helps to turn the microphone back on when you sit down. Ah, alright, what am I doing? I have my file open. Yeah. I'm still trying to wake up too, so I apologize. Oh, great. Great, the camera's not working. Great. Let's figure that one out. Okay. Just relink it. See, there it goes. Why did you do that? Blew up the... Ah. Well, Give me a moment here while I readjust it back into position where it belongs. Yay! Hopefully the rest. Nope. 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 None of them? Well, that's a lovely way to start the day. Everything's now shifted and off. All because the camera one did not work properly. That's bad camera. Bad. That one. Must have. Don't mind me as I fix everything. Well, that's not good when I see everything freezing. Gotta explain it. We're gonna see how far it goes. Yep, it's gonna leap down, and then it's gonna reset itself. Okay, now I get it. My goodness. And this is why you should have a second computer actually handling all of your streaming. Everything goes to that one computer and it processes it. Or out. Especially because once I kick into working, it's not gonna like that. So. Wow, Streamlabs, you really want to be a jerk today. Can't even handle that much. Why are you going so high? Huh. It's crazy. Oh, Streamlabs wants to be crazy. Well, crazy for me today. Ah. Not only is it breaking, but now it's like hogging my entire system today. You don't normally do this to me. Yay, welcome to the I figure out what's wrong with my... What's wrong with the stream? Yeah, which that box isn't complete. I'm just fixing it. Because I break everything. Oh, it is locked. My god. Zigzagoon escaped? Oh no. There it is. That one's now. Yay. Yep, that one's also broken. Welcome to the show where I fix things. Fix. Did I break that thing? I've broken it all. No. It is pretty bad when your video doesn't work and suddenly you're doing it during, because you know. Great. There we go. Okay, is that the last one? How many screens do I have? How many screens do I have? There, now it's shifting properly. All right, welcome. Hi, good morning. Stream is experiencing minor issues. Quality is good. Fluctuating. Well, like I said, we'll see. Once I get started with working, it's gonna go and I'm probably gonna have to go. Actually, I'm gonna be. We're gonna see how well this does. I need to make sure that the processing is just not. It's so much higher than last time, and I don't know why. When an update goes through, suddenly things change. Hopefully it can handle. Hopefully it can handle being in the background a bit more than actually being so predominant. Well, let's see if we can run this video without actually destroying everything. Yeah, I did set up to be. I made something to be more of my beginning, like start screen now. We'll see how this works. Alright, you. It's something simple, short. It's not really. I'm just playing around with things. You know, it's fun to play around. Oh goodness. More heavy. So I really didn't script a Ging Snaps to be drawn today. I've just been drawing a lot of Ging Snaps, and I said, you know what? I really do need to just keep practicing Ging and all of his playful friends. Which actually, I don't have really a bunch of characters that are like go to and repeat, which eventually they might be. I don't know. All I know is that I really do need to step up my game and get back to making it. It looks like it's stabilized, but it's still using a lot of the processor, so we shall see if I can continue on today. Because I do not know why it decided to use so much more. Mean program. Oh boy, do I need to sneeze. Yeah. There's no point in showing this because it's supposed to be an intro, and it's no. We're already past the start of this, so I'll have to show it for another time. Oh, you wake up. First thing you do is you try to go. I need to exercise and stretch. So I think it's time to exercise and stretch. Now today I'm using Illustrator instead of Krita though. So this is where I do most of my cartooning because it makes sense, right? I like to use Krita because one, I don't like using the guide tool. In this case, I want to see how shaky my hand is, and when I practice and everything, and especially when I stretch, exercise, or get ready for drawing, I like to use that program specifically because it does not assist me ever, unlike Illustrator. There we go. So here's my characters. Here's the heads. I'm very much like got eyes that I don't quite that aren't quite as what they should be. I'm still trying to figure it out. But the bigger point is this. Gotta keep. Come on, stop it. This is Ginge. This is the new version of Ginge. A very big difference. As a matter of fact, I did actually have at one point a reference of the old version, which all of the old comics will be up on the website when I get that thing officially done, which is practically there. I just need to make sure I have a set schedule for myself for things, and that's what I'll be working from. So you can see I'm using this now. This is all set to 2x, so it's actually 1600 by 2560, but the downgrade will be down to 800 by 680, 1280. I know my numbers. So I set this at 2 times the pixel ratio and 300 DPI for the artboards. And therefore, I'm at a higher quality than it's necessary, but then it'll be downgraded to make sure it's 800 by 1280, and it'll be still 300 DPI, but it'll be half the pixels for the actual website, because in the end, you don't really need that much bigger than that for your cell phone. And even for your screen, usually your safe point is 800 by 600 is what is considered web safe, which nowadays that's kind of, you could say easily people have like they have an HD screen for their for what they're viewing. Back in the day, it was back to those old square ones, which are 800 by 600. That was their typical ratio that worked best for them, and therefore became a web standard. Not necessarily is now, because really web standard is whatever cell phones do, but cell phones vary so much in pixel ratios that it's just you have to get really close to just being inside all of them at once. So yeah, not an easy task. But I'm gonna use the blob tool here. I put it to a 14. As you can see, 14 blob. Is it vector? Technically, no. How the blob works is not necessarily a vector because it doesn't have the same points. It when you click it, it has all these mini points, so it's actually a fill. So what I'm technically drawing is something that eventually, if I really want to, let's go to other. Go in here and see. I want to move that. I can move this point and just make it all weird like that. I could do that. So I could actually go in if I really want to and say, hey, I need this to be a shadowed space after all. And this is just me being very lazy about doing it. Because this is all underneath. We're just gonna pull these out. This is just one of the few things that can be done. Not necessarily the thing that shall be done. But you can see kind of like how easy it was to just put in a shadow effect. But that doesn't make it very easily editable, especially for animation, because, well, you really want something like this. Because when it's all said and done, we flip it and make the stroke 20. That's the kind of line you want when you finish and you say, hey, I need to edit this. I want the mouth to start shutting. I want to do this. Crazy. I'm going to bring whole lips. Like this is just this allows you to do deformations and do animation a lot faster. Whereas for doing it as this is more of a traditional still, because I have to draw it every time. But this is a comic. So the nice thing about it is I can still grab this, copy it into another place, and say, hey, I want to use this. Which is hence the reason why on this one I've drawn so many characters to kind of get an idea of reference. So here's Ginge. Here's the base. Here's the character that I want to keep recreating, and I need to practice drawing him more and more so I get it just off the bat. Then I put in this, because you're going to have multiple mouth shapes. Well, I at least need the basis so I know what each mouth should be. So you can see it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then X, because X is rest state, because that's where most people are going to have their mouth shape when they're not speaking, or they're going to have some weird, facial look. But as you can see, here's a M, B, P, H, S, D, J, K. So these are the letters that this mouth shape usually is most pertained to. It usually looks the most like. So what I did here is I made myself a little X sheet, a cheat sheet. So then I can go through and see, as for female features, they get 3 little eyelashes and they get lips. Whereas for the men, like this was just one of those, was it other lips? So I even have a tongue sticking out version. I have this. So I can actually grab these. Say, hey, I want to copy this. Probably just do it easier. Just copy, paste, and then I could take this and I just go, hey, I want to change this character's mouth. I don't like that one. I'm gonna give you this one. Suddenly, character looks so much different, but I didn't have to keep recreating the wheel. That's the reason why I'm doing a lot of these drawings, because I really do need to feel like I have a grip on it. And one of the biggest things I also need to do is I drew eyebrows on this character and on this character, but none of the other ones. Because I'm actually trying to figure out, it's like everyone has this shocked look. Maybe I need to change that. And it's very true. I might need to change it. So, and it looks like it's holding out. I was very concerned that I would, that Illustrator would bash me for trying to do anything serious. But we'll see, because as I add more and more to this, it's going to get more and more, was it larger in size? Now, there's also another great thing about doing this. Let's unlock you, because I didn't want to, but I'm going to copy. So one of the major benefits of doing this, which is why I'm also moving my work into this a bit more, that the same character, oh, that's right, because you're on the same layer. Need it. Can I add that? Punch into the X sheet. So obviously I could put this character in, put this head bust, and even say transform. I'm going to say scale. Yeah, let's go 50%. Excellent. See? So one of the big benefits, I select everything, object, live paint. Yes, make it live paint. And then there's this little lively box. It usually says shape builder tool, but live paint. So what I can go do is I've simplified. What's a good ginger hair color? Red. Definitely orange. That's gold. See, this will be the debate. A reddish orange. This won't necessarily be the end all be all. Like, yeah, that's my hair color. No. Just so we can see it. I don't need to see all them extras. So there we go. See, and I got this. So now let's also in the same swatch. We're gonna go with the palest peach. Actually, I'm gonna go a little bit more red, just so it's a little bit more peachy. Very pale. Boom, and then fill in there. And you know, I do need a white. I do need because the eyes and the teeth. So eye, teeth. Come on, fill in. You're gonna be a jerk about it, aren't you? Oh, probably because I didn't finish. No, I closed it. It's all closed. Well, it'll be a jerk about it. Eraser color for tongue. Alright, and then I need just black. So black can fill in that. Fill in the eyes. Oh. And then fill in that little. So the bigger point. Oh, that's not good. Why did it let me do that color but not the other? And there, that's one of the major reasons why I want to do it. Because like I can easily just plop, plop, plop color. It makes the job so much easier. So I can produce these a lot faster. So that's the whole reason why I made a template of what I'm working on, and now I just have to keep moving, keep making it. But yeah, when I ran across doing this style, and there's so many versions of Ginge I've drawn, and where I was with him. It just was very weird. Okay, well, back to the blob tool, but where I was with him was actually drawing, making a cylinder shape. Boom. I need to make these eyes a little bit more less shocked. So one of the things I definitely want to work on is What do I need to add? Because now this character's looking very sad. Especially if I do this. Give me a moment. This definitely makes my character look sad. Sorry if there's a little extra noise. I have a laundry. It's usually right next to me, so one little thing. We'll see how loud it gets. I don't know. But yeah, if I was putting those lines there, it makes the character sad. What does it make? More questioning. See, guys with glasses, like this character here, this guy right here, you'll never know what he's thinking. Now then, this is the bigger question. If I put in that as a part of this style, because this is one of those things that, as I'm trying to make other characters, at the same time, I could just leave it at the top. There's no problem with it being there, right? Even though usually the eyelashes follow the eyelid, unless I do something like this. That's a little bit more subtle. She looks stunned. So let's try to take that away. Now, if I do this, this also then adds in another level of color for the female characters where they're more likely to have an eyeshadow. Now, she does look like, I'm wondering. It adds a lot more expression. She looks like she's accusing somebody of something. There's that. The upper lid needs to be, because it softens the eye. It actually rounds it out a bit more too. it adds to the whole character. Because like this as it is like a blank stare. Here. Well, definitely softens up their face. And yes, I do have ears going a few different ways. I have ears that get tucked behind the lower jaw between these two. And then all the female characters have it where the ear comes in front. Which I'm thinking is like, should it be characteristic between men and female? I do think it works very well for a bigger face because it just emphasize that aspect more. Here it's kind of wonky. Like, yeah. And yes, I haven't drawn any bodies because I've been working on these faces and like for the past week. Drawing it various ways, practicing. Got my X sheet as you can see with the mouth movements because it'll just make it easier. And then I have my OC Ginge here, which if I look at him, that immediately changes the expression in such an interesting way. Whereas for like this means one thing. This is more of like I'm because you could, it's amazing how much it just changes it. That's why I couldn't stick with the whole eyes that are like this and then they would be filled in with black. They were unexpressive. The most you could see me do is make an eye go, or even do an eye that's questioning. Now the point of those is to simplify quite a bit, but I was losing so much expression, so much part of what could be in the character. So I did feel the need for speed. No, and yes, the eyes I design are like this. And if I really want to, I can make them look like they're deeper by putting a little bit of tail at the bottom. Now, I could leave them like that, or I could fill them in. Which I think I'm filling them in because it's just I like them filled in. I do like the lower ear tucked behind the lower jaw for some odd reason. It doesn't make the most sense, especially if you go from this angle and start turning the head, because eventually the ear is in front of the lower jaw no matter what. And even here, it's never in front of the lower jaw, really. It's outside of it. It just, it's aesthetic. That's my baby face. If I was to shave, I'd look more like Ginge. So you can see that I've been going through quite a few changes in this character, and now I'm gotten to a point where I think I've gotten it to the point where this is the design for this comic. And I'm not gonna fuss with it anymore. I'm just gonna keep practicing. And you can see I simplified a lot of the hands, so we got 3 fingers, not 5. Or I should technically say 4 fingers and a thumb. So we got 3 fingers and a thumb. Not that I couldn't add it in. It's there. It's plausible. Hand's not that much bigger. It's just for when it comes to redrawing and drawing, it's definitely easier. And if I ever go to animating these characters, well, then it makes it easier because then I don't have a fourth finger that I'm drawing. It's little things like that that simplify the whole process. So yeah, if you're ever curious, why do cartoons have 3 fingers? Well, it's one less finger for me to animate. One less thing for me to draw per frame, so I can easily go on to the next, and move on and keep making them. Actually, this might become the shout out version, like Ginge at the very end. Because this is the end credit shot, anyways. Oh, I got a little jagged. That looks way too droopy. I don't know about it. It makes it look a little. Starting to make him look really tired. Now I'm just curious. Grab all of it. And we go in. Oh, it is. It already is. It really is. I didn't actually believe I could just add in another. It'd already be. Nope. Nope. Don't do that to me. That's not what we're doing here. You want that color. You want this. Slap, 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 slap. There we go. A very tired looking Jin. Actually, I really, really want to drive it home as tired. Need to go a little bit darker. See how easy it is to just change the expression and get a whole nother play off of it. It looks like he's been up all night. Heck, I could even no. That is the fine. Nope. Nope. Can't be a jerk to me. Really deep dark back. Of course, it needs to be behind, so. If I tell arrangement and say go backward, it's gonna go behind. Even the fill. Oh, here we go. Object. What is the key? Control bracket. We'll see how far I have to go. Control. What? Yep, that's what I thought. So it's either in front or it's behind. Good. Doesn't work out how I want it then. I have to be pretty darn precise. I'll have to figure that one out here, so I don't. So I can make it easier if I want. But back. Highlight's gone. As we can see, expression changes easily with the eyes, which is why I had to really steer away from the pitch black. like I said, I didn't really have one scripted for today, so I have a few other ones that I'm working on, but still, I need to get out of the storyboarding phase. Actually, yes, I do make the other eye a little bit larger because again, it's the closer one of the two. And I want it straight down from the nose, the gap, and then curve upward. So then again, we're going to go from the midway of the eye, round, stop. Stand in the rest. That is relatively big, but that is, oh, that's because it is going a little bit too far below the nose, because it should line up with the bottom of the nose as well. Typically, I don't add in the ear until I've done the lower half of the jaw, and the lower half of the jaw usually comes in after I've done there. And no. There. And this is still relatively trying to be the cylinder shape, is what I'm trying to aim for always. Actually, let's get rid of it. So then this is leading to the forehead. Nope. That works. Okay. Switch mouth. Switch mouth. Let's go with the O. Keep the eyes close to the bottom. Get to about the front of the ear. Around. There we go. Forehead's, this is still a bit larger than it needs to be. The face is not as wide as it was. So again, this is all practice, 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 so I can regurgitate this exactly as I want it every time. Can't forget the eyebrow. Eyebrows. Not every character seems to be having big, luscious eyebrows. that long enough? I don't feel like it's long enough. I need to go further. Because I'm still trying to use that original cylinder-like shape, but more up to date of what it is that I want this style to be. Because beforehand, the character was, oh yeah, let's just draw it and just put it on page. And that's what I was doing beforehand. And then now, you know. Good. I'm gonna lock the labels so I don't accidentally select it or get anything. Should almost look retro, like 90s. Make sure they're closed. Now, one of the big things is definitely trying to make. I need to relock it. Is also doing, instead of just that angle, is also draw it straight on. So if I draw it straight on, feel more like, get this. Now, most of the time, you won't ever do your character like this because it's a little too rigid. It's not not as interesting. The only time you do this is for a dramatic effect of like something's charging at your character. Yeah, but most of the time you're talking at an angle to the side, doing something like you've got more a different body position. That fits. Again. See, this doesn't quite fit this style I have over here. There's still something off. So it's either I'm not exaggerating enough, which is quite possible what it is. Go big. Now these are much larger than I need for the actual screen. Which reminds me I should. There. The credits open. Therefore. Maybe this is what you need to do the drawing of circles. And one of the most common shapes you'll make. Ovals and circles. Could technically just copy, but the point of this is so I can recreate it from muscle memory. So that's why my elbow is not touching the ground. Trying to draw more from the shoulder. I get these little flicks from my wrist. and not very welcome. But you know, it happens. So I just want that last little flick. No. Nope. That's also another thing, is trying to dodge that beginning point is a bit of a task. But yeah, just designing, making it simple today. I feel like those eyes are very far apart. Not only that, but they're just not. See, this is a point where also it wouldn't be half bad. Okay, well. See, this is wherein lies the bigger problem I have with this, with doing it this way, is that I have to close it for this to be satisfied. I don't want to close it. I have to make it difficult because I want to be stylized. Yeah, so no matter what, it's like, for the eyes at least, I can't do exactly what I want without going in, then creating the circle, hacking away at it, and then doing what I want. This is another reason why it'll be so much easier if I just do this. Come on, stop dripping down. That's a bit better. Okay. Doing a straight on look is just not, it's just not appeasing. But we're gonna continue on. We're gonna see it because I need to break it, or need to see as best I can to sit inside this rule I've made and what I can create. So we take it from still off partially, because that's one of the bigger things. Is now I'm still a little bit off. Am I doing that? Well, forehead. that way. Something, it just feels so wrong. So maybe I can always do this. That kind of works. Suddenly I can't draw eyebrows. What is wrong with me? Fine, just draw the upper lid. Oh, connect. Fine, fine. Does that work? So that's almost straight on. That shows quite a bit more of the other side of the face, so it's a little bit more of a head turn. Which might be the closest I ever get to a full coming forward. And in this case, that could be the same stage where this stage of animation. Okay. I had everything selected when I selected. There we go. Transform. Reflect. When you make your OC very weird and scary. See, this is essentially like, if I take it and I reflect it, this is like one of the best ways I can go, okay, maybe this is closer to what the character's face should be if they're both, if it's facing forward. like where the position of the nose should be, the mouth, the both cheeks, and at the same time, it's like, is it showing this character's face rather wide? Yes, it is. But if I was to blend both together and have them look straight forward at us, this would be relatively close to what it is. So I have an interesting squared jaw. Actually, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make another layer because I don't want it to make these two. I want to make sure they're both selectable in their own way. So Control Shift V to paste in place where I had it before. See, because if I do this, then I can't. But if I do this, I can suddenly select all that I want, which is just the one. So, as creepy as that looks, so the question is now, let's lock them all. Yeah, because I can't change the opacity like I could in things. Like I could technically change their color if I really wanted to. Actually, I think I will. Both of you need a darker. I should not sneeze. Am I? There we go. Caught it. Excellent. So if I do this, one they'll be a little bit lighter than what I'm drawing. I will go back to black. So if we're going to try to do this, we're going to try to. All right. So I'm not going for perfect line weight right now. So I want to just see if I can create. If I can turn. Why do I have that song? If I could find a way and taking all the things that hurt you, and you'd say, if I could reach the stars. I'm singing Cher for some odd reason. Yep. I don't know where it came from. I'm a little too far past. Now, the bigger question is, do I want... I'm using this also as a means of like, for animation, you definitely would have onioning for the purposes of being able to see character. Oh, crap. Let's start from. Let's see if we can just do it this way. I have to clean that up a bit, but I'm not going for perfect. Going for what makes the most sense. Or OC from the front end. Come on. You can see boom, boom, but it'd be like boom, boom, boom. So that's relatively close because I was able to use both directions to kind of go, well, this is the in between both of them. So it was a good way to see what my character would look like if I was a straight on, look straight onto him. And this is essentially from the original design of 3/4 with a little bit less like 3/4 to a little bit less 3/4. And this is about where I took it and then reflected it. So I could find the in between. And for the most part, I like what I see. I can easily do that. Or again, since we're trying to be symmetrical, it would be still. So if I needed to do a turnaround, this would be the go-to. It needs a lot more cleanup because I think if anything I need to take this out more. Probably even come straight down more so than I had. Instead of making it all narrow like a trapezoid, probably need more rectangular from the front. So it'd be squared off more so instead of trapezoid. Because if I was to look at the original, there's definitely more square going on, more rectangular. So like let's even draw it from this point. So if I go from here down to here, over to here, up to here, across, I have more of a rectangle. It is a small trapezoid, but it is more rectangular. It's still keeping towards that base shape that I want to keep for my character. Because then I'd also say, well, then I need to make sure I have a bump out. I need to pull it inward. This is unfortunately a little bit out of there, so if I was to bring it in, here, then I have the eye, which comes around and then touches that eye that comes around. See, I'm going over all of it. So this eyebrow can come through. This one's raised. Let's see there. That's me reconstructing my OC's face, knowing that I'm trying to fit it all in a box. And if I was to even extend this to go out toward. It's all fitting inside, so. Because this also is a crucial line. This. Because that's what I'm essentially making. But I'm also making it 2 strokes, so. And again, it's a little bit, just ever so slightly, a little bit rounded, and then comes in. So there's a curve to that cheek, instead of just being straight the whole way. See, and this is just me deconstructing so I can redraw this character multiple times. And because like I said, I've been practicing this all week. And this is something that when you want to make it simplistic enough for your own design of character, so you could redraw it, and do it very quickly. So a lot of the portion of your time is going to be spent, well, how can I draw this character wherever I want? So if I put that box there, then I know, well, I want to make the face. Oh, a little bit too, not enough. That. I know that this feeds over and then upward, which curves in its own way. And I know this is my eyebrow line right here. That makes the center of the eye cut through here, which then makes my lower eye down here. So if I was to go in, and I can go. Baby. Too big. Oops. You know, back in the day, I used to make the eyes like this, and then I steered away. It's like, no, it's just too weird. Now here I am coming back to the same eye design that I liked, because, you know, I still want to use it. We can put the bags. Then we know the nose to start from here, down, over, and up. And then the mouth essentially goes from there. And again, from the center of the eye, we can go, okay, now I have pull it in from here, in and out. Boom. That's where my ear goes. So reconstructing this face as it is, you can see that I'm getting more of an idea of where I want everything to sit in relation to each other. And then we have, and therefore I've restructured and gone, okay, so this is how I can recreate the character's face. But I also want to be consistent in how it looks. Because, like, this was the best version I drew of him. And it was the best version. I go, I have to keep that as my reference. That's the style, the line weight I want to work towards. So that is the brown. A little bit bigger, because again, I always try to get that dynamic of that eye's closer. Size does matter. It does seem like it's very. I've made this face wider than I need to, so I guess if I start with that, I can do then the eyes. The closer I do the eyes, the less of a head turn I have. As you can see that the eyes are now meeting up with one another where they weren't before. Therefore, on my nose. I'll get more. I see I'm getting very lazy with those lines. Well, if this is the case, then just do one of those times where the ear does have to go in front. Looks a bit dazed. Does that work? It works. Only slightly. So let's go. The lower chin is a little too wide. That's essentially the shape I want to make every time. Come on. Now here's one thing: is I'm also trying to draw this when I've already scaled it 50%. So technically, the line weight is 7 points. So it's another thing I have to keep consistent. Is that if I do draw it in 14 point, I'm drawing it for probably a smaller. Essentially, I'm trying to get these line weights and that. So if I just draw it bigger, I get closer to what I'm aiming for. Face isn't that wide. Now that I have it drawn, I could also do this. I could go over my character. This might be what I end up doing. Yeah, just for the sake of it. Everything else is locked circuit. So by doing this, I'm allowing myself to make a, as you can see, a basic outline. And with this, I can reshape it and rework it. Because I've already created this character in such a way that I enjoy. So there we are. Actually, the properties. I can pretty much beef this up to 20. The only problem I have, again, is that this is a consistent line and not broken down in any way. Do that, and then I need to break it. There we are. That line. For this one, I need to go over. I'll have to cut it back. Same thing with this one. Oh. There. So that's reconstructing. As you can see, I have lines that don't come to, that taper down. Can I? Do I have them already? No, I don't. I have to look up the art brushes. Not a big deal. I can always create one later. Fun. So the bigger point, though, is that this is all right. What'd you do to me? I have a lot of drop frames. 3 minutes ago. What happened to my program? Everything stops. Why? I don't even know what brush it decided that I'm using, because I'm not using any. What happened? Okay. You're not even gonna yell at me because I'm drawing on a frame that doesn't have any, that can't be seen, or a layer that can't be seen? Of course not. course. Ah. This is what I like to see because it's not gonna make sense to me. What is nifty tool? Oh, you know why? The tool essentially that I have is freaking. That's why. There's a secondary button I didn't think I'd actually push, but I guess I spun my. Because every time I draw, I spin this, so there's that little button there as I'm spinning. Because it's just something I learned from doing a pencil, pencil drawing. Is that you draw and you keep rotating your pencil. It's just one of those little things. And eventually it screws with me when I'm doing this because I don't essentially need to do the same thing with it. I don't need to. But there we go. Hmm. Mm. Did you give me the sharp point that I wanted? There we go. Of course, I can go through and make these kinder, essentially. And what I'll do is I'll want to carry this over and up so I can have it block it out properly. Same thing goes for this one, which I would clip off the end that I don't need. Break you. Same thing goes for this mouth. Got a lot of overextensions, which is perfectly fine because we can we can fix overextension, which reminds me to make sure this one over a little bit more. Make sure it's very nicely. You. Because essentially what we done, these lines that are overstretched can all be snipped, can all be cut off. So it does not hurt because go past. In fact, it actually helps. So again, go in here. We're going to do the eye. There, that should be all pieces except for the neck, which I guess you know what. Because again, you overshoot. Broken. Here we go. Essentially, I've recreated the character in vector. So what I need, oops, not that. Did I erase the neck? I must have. I didn't even hit the easy, but you know, it's cool. There's always other buttons that do similar things that mess with what you did. All right. I guess also that one, and then this next one I want to make sure it's in curves, and then we overstretch it. Like that. Oh. Now we got all of our pieces. Really don't want to sneeze again, but I think I might. Ah, yep. Go back to that too. It's all quiet. It's all quiet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Alright. So trying to go path. I want to join it. Do you think I want to join it? What's my next step? Oh my goodness. Yeah, I didn't want to. Because I want to. Think. Because if I make live paint, that doesn't exactly work. Because one of the points is like, once you have the vector version, you. Actually, that does remember. Once you have the vector version. Copy your character over so you have the original. Go back, cut. Different layer. Paste it back where I want. Edit. Because what we're going to be doing is essentially breaking it, and if we destroy our original of it, it's going to be bad. It's going to be real bad. So I don't want to destroy what I originally had. So again, we're going to lock the previous layer, just because I don't want to touch it. Don't want to accidentally. Goodness. Well, essentially. Actually, do I need? That does not translate well. Not at all translate. Okay, so that's a big no. Mm-hmm. Could make one, or I could just look at the libraries. Open up them libraries. Give me the brush library. Oh yeah. Oh, you really know how to be a jerk today, huh? I swear, I think I'm just cursed trying to get this thing to work all the time. I wanted to bring up more brushes, but it looks like I don't have any. That's because I was asking for the wrong one. Artistic ink. Give it a moment. Thank you. Keep me on layers. I don't think there's any artistic ink. Let's do that. 3 works. See, I'm using the lines from the actual program itself to create essentially some of these. And as you can see, I go past, so I don't have to keep these tails on certain things, which is great. How does 2 look? 2 looks pretty nice, but I think definitely a 3 is what I'm aiming for. So this is a case of going all at once. So you can see, if anything, actually, these are the ones I need to stick to being standard, basic, 20 points. Because they don't need it. They're solid round. Not cool. There we go. The problem is that also is putting a little bit of an opacity. Kind of like a... Yeah, doing this won't change that. Part of the brush itself. The brush is adjusting the color. No, well, continue on and see what we get. Because I still have my original stuff. I don't really like what I see, what I've done. Alright, so do I make it live or do I need to... I think it's expand. I want to say it was expand, not expand appearance. Yep. Expand, so now it's taking each and every line and going, oh, now I'll expand it out to make it a fill. My gosh. Expand. The stroke. Alright, so one of the things that I can do, because those are still fills. I feel like it's putting a little micro. It's like 1 point. Probably. And what's the last thing? I do expand, and I always forget these. You know, because like it said something simple. It's just boom, 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 and then bam. Take off my tails. All the time I do it, it's a matter of like, because it's a set pattern. Otherwise, it feels like I mess it up. I don't remember the exact steps. I know what it is. It's just expand. It should be. What? Every time I think about it, it's just live paint, isn't it? No, it's not. Live paint is the ability to actually just put in there. Like, oh, this is the barrier. That's the painted thing. I think, you know what I'm doing. Nope. Okay, we're still there. Object. See, if I hit the word join, it's just going to join them into one longer one, which I don't need it to. That's what I thought. Oh, it has to be expand, because I needed to expand out to the outer limits. And then I'm trying to remember what that simple little extra step is. Expand, expand. Then there's a way that'll cut it off and they'll make it. Of course, I actually have the right tool that I want to use. No, because live paint doesn't do what I want it to. Oh, I didn't do. Keep the double expand, because that helps eyes in the center. I just can't remember what this last step is. Why is it? Oh, this is one more thing. It's right in there, and I know it's one of these. It's not expand, expand, expand. It's expand, expand, one last step. And the only thing that comes to mind is live paint. Why is this so hard to remember which one it is? It hurts. It hurts. I don't think I even know that Pokemon. I want to convert to shape. Doing this does jack, yeah. This is exactly what I thought it would be. It's like, oh, it's 2 compounds. Did I do it? Is it expand, expand, expand? How much you want to bet it is? Because I know what I'm trying to do is get... What I essentially want is where, if I come in here and I select this, expand. No, they're that compound. I don't create trim marks. That's not what it is. It's just these simple little buttons to make this all flippable. I feel like there's more. I do know that you can take an image that you have made or drawn, and you can do this expand, and it does grab it and makes it so you can make it like a Phil Stroke, the guy with the blob. Why am I blanking on every single one of these? Is it blend? No. That's definitely a no. Not converted to shape. Doing any more expansions just results in nothing. Make live. I think that was it. I think it's live paint, then another expand. Am I right? Yes, that's what I was forgetting. It is live paint, then another expand. That's the difficulty I'm having today. Oh, cancel. We can go in and now clean up these little portions that have overdrawn. Double delete. Double delete. Double delete. Just these little details. Particular ones that we don't need. This one, that one, and I don't need that because that goes behind. And you can see how quick and easy and clean that made everything. So this is why you overdraw your lines. And it's expand, expand if you really need to do it twice. Live paint, then expand. I should essentially still be able to go in. Am I right? Unless I need to select it again and make it live paint, which I bet I need to. Yep, I have to go and make it live. There we go. Well, that's filled in black, that's filled in black. That is 2. That section. Well, you can see I can go through and change the line color. As you can see, I have to go through and select every single box. So if I'd done this earlier in my process, I would have. Not the most ideal way of going around and coloring. Now, as for this one, there's so much junk in it. I do not understand why. That's essentially what will happen. I want it to remove. Why am I getting too hard going? I'm not gonna mess with it. I know I can clean it up, but I'm not gonna. Essentially, what I have now is I have a vectorized character that I created that overshot all its lines. Then I came over here and if I make a brush that works for me, I could do essentially what you saw here is I could change all these brush strokes into this exact one I want. Get an end result of what I'm seeing here. So go in. Up your white eyes. Pinkish hue tongue. Essentially, we got it yet again. A little bit more color. Just a little bit. Heck, and again, just to do some simple shadows. Just put in a little bit. Boom. Need to go more than just that's basic, but I want to keep some color in there. So it already looks dynamic because the neck is underneath the head. But essentially, I've created a vector version and then cleaned it up. So that's another way I could do this character. I could create the vectorized versions and have all of these, and then part of my cleanup is to go in here and then expand, live paint, expand to get rid of all the overextensions. Which this works out pretty well because it does allow me to make sure I can recreate this character every single time the same way. Because before I even got to this point of making this, I could have readjusted the head. Said, I don't like this curve here. I need this to be adjusted. So I could have come in. Oh, that's right. I could have come in here and gone, I need to change that. Heck, I could even do this, which is another path I need you to simplify. Oh, you don't like to simplify. I don't like all the extra dots, but that's essentially what's going on with this one. Oh, probably I had the wrong tool to select it. So I've simplified it now to a point where I could go in here and essentially adjust it and go, I want my chin to be a bit bigger. Do that. So I can make it even more. So essentially I do want this to be here, but I needed those to be more shallow. So it's like I want this to come out a bit further. I can do that, and that'll simplify a lot of it. At the same time, a lot of these faces, I could make a vectorized version, drag it where I need it, color it, and do it in a specific shot. So if I have multiple face turns, all I have to do is grab the vectorized version, bring it over, expand, do all the other junk, and make it work, and boom, resize it, perfect. And that's probably what essentially I'm going to have to do for my X sheet, because I'm going to simplify a lot of the process. So when I have an idea, I'm drawing it out and scripting it, how I want to see each frame. But then I'm simplifying the fact of, hey, I want to use this head turn, use this one, and I can go through and readjust the mouths. So I can essentially take that vectorized version, make that. All the while, see that my original character is still still have my basic character that can be used for so many things. Because that's the basic design. I want to keep things to this, to that aesthetic. So I have my vectorized version of it. Then I have the locked version. I have this where it's been expanded, and now essentially is where it should be. So if I think about this, I should grab this. Essentially, I can readjust where I want it. Go in, transform. I don't need that big. I want you to scale down. Let's see, it's the same. Vector will allow me this freedom to then take this head and place it and reuse it wherever I want. I could be using spacebar. So you can see these side by side. So I've kept the stroke the same weight no matter where it is. Whereas for this one has thinner stroke. So like there's that aspect of always keeping. Because this will always keep the thickness of which I originally made for the character. Whereas for scaling down the blob, you can see makes a complete difference on how thick those lines are. So that's another aspect I need to keep in mind, is that if I do this, then I have to make sure I keep other things consistent for the same reason. So line stroke obviously this is affected by that. This we're gonna get crazy. So I can essentially tell it when I go transform scale. Actually, that's exactly what I thought it was. Okay, so now I think I'd done this backwards. So if I actually take you original, copy of you, I should be able to utilize that. So copy, paste it here. I thought of it differently. Because this is essentially changing the stroke weight. So it's not the same. Because I've kept this character the same. Whereas for if I do it this way, then I keep it. I do the same thing. Yeah, it is exactly. Because like this preserves the line weight. This one scales the line weight downward because it's already a blob. So if I do want to preserve it, then I need to do one other task. So for this, I do need to do the expand. Make life expand. No, see, that won't be the same. Because it's still not. I feel like that. There's two different things. So like this is preserving the line weight when I scale it down. So if I scale this one. So I'm essentially trying to make these lines thicker. The last. Well, then let's. Nope, not exactly what I wanted. Not exactly what I was aiming for. up. And this is also another thing. Eventually, I will have color scheme done. That's the exact one. No fussing. So if we look at these two, there's a decent difference you can see. Not too much, but still somewhat. And it has a lot to do with if you look at the line thickness in certain areas, it is preserved. So mainly like stuff right there. So the thickness of this line compared to this line is only slightly different. There. Very slightly different. Not too much to be, be significantly different. But it's a minor, like a few pixels. So I don't know if you necessarily can see it, but it's there. And it's just ever so slightly, like it's just like this, the thickness all the way through it is a little bit different because there's also the pixelation. Because one thing that I know it's hard to see between, I don't know if the screen is capturing it, but there's little pixel boxes along the line of this one. Whereas for this one, it's relatively smooth. It's less. It's got more data to work with. That's not what I want. That's not what I want either. So I keep hitting. But they're otherwise essentially the same. There's not too much of a difference. I don't need to click on it. They're not any different in how I achieved it. Because I colored this and everything before I shrank it down. This is essentially the same. See, I didn't even bother to clip that out. So, well, I'm wondering now, if I take this, go, expand, object stroke, expand. Nope, it's not going to do the same thing. Yeah, because it's not breaking these apart. It's all. So you can see that depending on how you create it, you're going to get a little bit of difference. It's amazing how much you see this skin color against this skin color. Like this makes a, but essentially they're the same color. Attack of the Clones. Which layer are you on? There you are. You're part of the X sheet. It's like two different ginges. But I scaled them up 10% because they're practically close, but again, one's in front of the other. Just by enough. One of them dynamic shots. Yeah, I'm messing around with this. Maybe that's one of them. Doppelganger. Can never have enough gin. Never enough ginger. Depending on the camera angle, it'll either be level or slightly underneath. Just having a little bit of fun. That's all. Back. So it's essentially I'm not doing too many different things, but I am getting different results based on what action I take. We're just gonna go back up. At this stage, I could just delete it. Yep. From this point, I can just delete it. So I'll get a few different results depending on which style of lines I want to do for this character. Because I can essentially do this, which allows me to make a scalable, adjustable version that's in vector. So I should essentially be able to like come in here and I go, I don't want that eye. I'll take that out. I want these shape of eyes. I want this version instead. And I can make it easy on myself because I'm wondering if this will. Allow me to recolor. Yep, it does. So I can easily add in the eyelid right there on the fly. Which is essentially one of the things I want to do is like if I want to do adjustments, I want to make sure it's quick. Like I don't like this. I need to change up that facial expression. Now the only problem with still doing this is that the mouth is not on its own separate layer over the top of it. So what I'd really be doing is I'd have to make sure this is exactly the mouth shape I want and then pull it from there. So I do need to go through and make a vectorized version instead of just the hand-drawn versions of the mouth. At the same time, I could just use the hand-drawn versions with it's perfectly fine, but I'm also looking to make sure that line weight is consistent throughout anything I make. So this, I'm wondering if I scale it. The eyebrow lines do get significantly smaller, but essentially it still keeps working. Yeah. liking it. But I think a vectorized set of heads, especially the shapes, because I think once I get a plethora of characters I really want to use and interchange, depending on the setting, because like I want an older gentleman, I want a younger gentleman, I want an older woman, a younger woman, at least those, so it's like there's some interaction, and then have variations, and that's where I'm creating the variations, because like I need different eye shapes, depending on if they're wearing glasses, do they have an expanded eye, or is the glasses become an eye? 'Cause that's also one thing about one of the characters I have. This character has still that essential line over the top and around, but it's purely just glasses. And I've purposely tried to put more line weight on the lower half. Now, I do feel like some of these eyes look very close, like Family Guy style. And I can't say I was never influenced by it. I did watch several seasons. I haven't watched most of like the last couple of years. And your art styles are going to reflect usually a lot of your influences. So hopefully you pull from enough of different areas that it becomes its own. That's really essentially what I've tried to do with this. Make it my own by pulling together different designs that I like. But the one thing I've fallen back on is doing the eyes with that little tail at the beginning and then whipping around. So it's essentially like all I'm trying to do is just make the fastest eye. And I make terrible. I can't complete my. Of course, you didn't. Right. Yeah. Like essentially, I'm trying to make an eye that's very quick. And eventually, I will get to the point where I just whip one out. The next one out. And that's what I mean. It's like right now it's just practice the art style. Put myself in different positions, different moments for these characters and try to figure them out. Just recreate. Oops, didn't finish. And overdraw it more than anything. By doing this kind of line, it makes it look sad because it looks like the eyes are not smiling anymore. Whereas if I do. I'm not keeping very consistent with certain things about the design as I draw it freehand. Because essentially, I want it to be this kind of quality every time. This is my quality check. Da, 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 da. Stumbling. But I might end up doing the vector just because I can keep certain shapes consistent. Because hand drawing it every time, it's just going to take a while for me to practice. On top of that, it also wouldn't be half bad for me to practice going the other direction. I've already gone a little bit off. It's getting a little bit closer. It's just recreating that jawline, so it's the same every time. But that was a reverse one. Essentially, I'm drawing the same thing over and over again. I do want to taper a little bit for the neck, but not too much. That works. That makes it look a little bit more angry. It softens it quite a bit. I like it. I like the art style that I picked and I'm working with. And this will become probably a good portion of a lot of my work from this point. Is be dynamic and utilize. Excuse me. Using this. I know the more I look between this and this, the more I like this one. The more I like that one. I don't know why. I think it's just because the thickness of the line, it just looks really neat to me. But this one has more of that dynamic style. Come here and I can transform. Escape. 2%. Here, I'm just gonna go crazy. I'm gonna go expand. Pretty sure I wanted to. Ah, crud, that's right. Some of this won't expand into each other in a way. That needs to go in, or I need to just bury it inside of it. There we go. See, there's little lines like that. Those will be the bane of not letting Live Paint do what it's supposed to. Well, I mean, Live Paint does have. You can change its barrier, saying, "I do want you to do this," but it just makes it a little bit easier when they're all on the same page. Not too many places. See, it's not. It's just because it starts off as a blob instead of as a line, and then you tell it to expand. That's one of those things that I'll have to just. I won't be able to change. If I draw it with the blob tool, I won't be able to get the same effect if I do it with a vector line and then expand it. I won't have the same results. I'll have to figure out if there's another way for me to take the blob, which is already a full shape, and tell it to. Let me clip these points off. There has to be something somewhere. There has to be. And again, eventually I'll create on my X sheet a color palette that just reference. Boom. You can see it gets pretty quick and easy when it comes to coloring a character. I can keep it pretty consistent about that. Without issue. But these are just heads because I'm trying to get that head just right. Because the bodies I feel are pretty simple. They're not overly crazy. I mean, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this version. The color I really want to draw in, which is black color. I'm gonna make droopy shoulders. Or I can, because beforehand too, I had the same idea of cylinder, rectangle. So if this matter, that's a weird place to put an elbow. A little too thick. Thing keep. You have to be. This is also another reason of doing vector even for the body. So a lot of the body shape would be not too different, but it's another aspect I want to work on. So I have the shoulders rolled more further back. design's more like this, which is another aspect. Is like, I like what I did with the shirt here. I like the size of the body, the size of the overall comparison, and that's what I'm gonna have to recreate. It's like right now, this head shape, this head design, feels off from what the body, from what I'm trying to create as the body. And at the same time, like I showed previously, that like, oh look, that could be more of the reason. Really want to add that many lines to this? The more lines I add, the more it, especially if I think of in the style of animation, the more detail you add, the more you have to recreate it every time. Part of me wants to do an elbow. And then taper the forearm a little bit like usual. That would mean that I also want to probably I do like the thickness of the lines on that character, the vector version. Nope. This is another thing I'll have to redraw and draw and draw and draw to make sure I get how I want. Especially if I want to keep with a certain style, then the rest of it will follow suit. So now what I really need to decide is, do I like this version of my character? Or do I like this one? And on top of that, this is just that we're done. So which version? Do I like the heavy, thicker lined version based off of the vector lines that were created with an expand, live paint, expand? Which then, it keeps more of its shape and thickness as I scale it downward. Which is good, but then that means then I'm creating at a larger scale just to shrink it down. Hmm. Well, always best to save. It's gonna be part of, because like if I'm gonna try to do this all by hand, then this is more so the design I'm gonna have is this top one. But if I do it by vector, I'll have this design more, and I'll have a little bit more. What is it? I'll be able to reuse the heads. I feel like a lot more, and change them. Especially if I do plan to do a small animation, like I said at the top of the stream, that I was gonna do more of a like a GIF, so each frame itself would be rerunning a certain as it goes along the whole thing. So like if this character drops something and I wanted to show it dropping, it dropped and then go right from here, and maybe even time it out so when it hits the bottom it stops, and then this picture resets. Because I could time it out for how fast I'm thinking you follow the animation downward, because there's so many dynamics of which I could do to make that work. Here's a clear example of what the difference between, like, as I scale further back, like I'm not gonna see it this way. Can I? There's that. That head's there. So I essentially do this, and then there you are. I can export this out as the file size in my artboard 1 and take a better look at it too. That's really what it all comes down to. So how does this look as the final frame? The picture that I'm making. Export screens, and I don't need it. Title, don't need credits. Yeah, just select that folder. And again, these are PNGs. Like I'm not even able to take it from here out to where I want it. I'd literally have to reconstruct. I'd create the base, and then I'd have to create the animation in a separate program, like Photoshop. Which I should be able to take this over to Photoshop, but I think I have to take it over in files. I just don't know if it doesn't necessarily preserve. Oh, wait a second. I'm being just a little, because I could preserve it as SVG and pull it into Photoshop that way, maybe. SVG would allow me to keep the vector graphics aspect for it, so it should still be scalable to where it won't get weird, but still it won't be animatable because it's the expand. So I'm at another dilemma of I'd have to create every frame in this and then reconstruct it in Photoshop. I'm adding a lot of extra work if I want to make these animated like GIFs, unless I can find unless I can find a means of actually exporting these out how I want. In the case of the file type I want. I don't think that it's not offered. Transparency. So let's export the board. So essentially, this is characters with no backgrounds. Characters with no background. And since this is
this is a normal image, it will rasterize like that. Goodness, I forgot a part of the lip. I forgot that part. That's one of the things I'll have to do is make sure that depending on what line I make, because that's also, I'm gonna have to make a different stroke for it so I can have more control on it, because I don't want it to be that slightly opacity, slightly like grayish tone. I want solid black line. But I'm wondering if it's just because this coloration of the neck, it makes this character look more three-dimensional. Which it does. That's the whole point. More thickness is... Hi there. Hi there, After Villainy. It's been a while. I noticed you changed your name too. How have you been? Well, I think you changed your name on Discord. Is that right? I did notice the name change, though. I think I like the thicker lines. Yeah, I never actually programmed it into my little chat. The whole let you know where Discord is. Thank you for that reminder. I need to make that a note. Of course, all I have is my drawing pencil. So that reminds me, I do need to program in a few other things, especially for the... Oh, and that one too? Well, I'm trying to... I keep my my stream family friendly, so because I don't cut. At least when the camera's rolling. Definitely need to clean up certain portions of the line, but essentially this is... Oh, somebody came by the door. Essentially this is really what I want. I'm messing around with my original character Ginge from Ging Snaps, and I'm really changing up the art style. So right now I'm trying to figure out, do I like the blob version of the line drawn, or do I prefer a more vectorized version? And I think I'm liking the more vectored version, the top one here. It's just because of how thick the outline is, but I definitely need to change the brush that it's used, because I don't quite like how it tapers so quickly at the tips. Like ear looks fine with it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being picky. Oh yeah, Ginge is short for ginger. Yes, he's a redhead, kind of like me. Yeah, this is essentially all the designs, few different character heads, and then mouths, but And then this is just me being weird trying to do it straight on. Look with my character. So I'm just messing around with things, seeing what I can get created. Well, his personality is pretty much that of a character that's a little bit absent-minded. But it's an adventure, in this case, from a ginger's point of view of things. You know, those soulless beings. That kind of thing. Since I'm a ginger, I'm allowed to say these certain things, I guess. It's not me being mean to gingers, because I'm making fun of myself in the end. But I made a bunch, a couple years ago, and for the past couple of years I've been working on other projects, and I said, I really want to get back to this one. And one of the first things was, I really want to update the art style because it looked very much like I was trying to just draw fast, not add any aesthetic to it or style to it. Essentially, the character was meant to be drawn as fast as possible. That's where I'm steering away from that. So this case, Ginge always had that was his style. No necks. Essentially, I just made it as rigid as possible. So now I'm playing around with, because when I drew this head, and it's like, it's the style I want to do and want to recreate in every character. And that's essentially what I've been trying to do, is get that same design across the whole thing. Oh, you do post to Twitter now. Then I'll have to find you. Same name, right? After villainy. I feel like I'm saying it wrong because you have an extra letter in there. And I'm pretty sure your name is based off of even your own original work, right? If I'm remembering correctly. Memory, it's a terrible thing. Well, terrible thing for me. Sorry. I'm happy if I can remember most details. Hence the reason why I write down everything. But that's essentially the old face compared to the new one. And this would be filled in with black. I remember you from, very early on. It was almost over a year ago, wasn't it? Because I remember you actually, you posted a few things in the Discord a while back. But of course, that's why I say, your name's different, but the last name is what I pick up the most. The last portion of your name is what I picked up the most. Because that's very familiar, because it felt like that was part of your original character designs, and I'm trying to think. One of your original characters that you showed me was... I'm trying to remember what animal it was. Why can't I remember what animal it was? For some odd reason, squirrel comes to mind. It's like, no, it's not. It wasn't a squirrel, though. But it was original character that you designed. You posted in Discord a long time ago then. And that's that. Susan. Okay. Yes, and it's again, I still can't remember the name of the character, but you had this over-the-shoulder look that you showed that was still kind of penciled at the time. So yeah, you showed that to me, and I thought that was really awesome. That was really great. A dog. See, I should have kept more simple in mind. Yeah. I know the tail looked like it was rather big because again you had it sketched out, and I noticed the tail was covering quite a bit of the lower half of the body. From what it looked like, and I know I I could not remember what breed you were using, but if I'm not mistaken, the story was she was unlikable though. Or many of the people she worked with didn't like her. Or you never did? Well, there's never too late to move back to it. Ah. Did you move on to like Clip Studio Max or Clip Studio Max? Clip Studio Art, Procreate, and then there's Photoshop and so many other painting programs. But yeah, I remember the character you designed a long time ago when you showed. I imagine it would, because that was an old draft, and then so I remember it's a hard sell to make an unlikable character. The Fire Alpaca. That's one I've never used in my life. Fire Alpaca. Of course, I've always used Adobe products, and then I found Python stuff, which is what Blender, Krita, Inkscape are built off of. Which is another thing, I should probably stop using this and go into Inkscape, because Inkscape does not blow up my computer nearly as bad, but I like Illustrator. That's why I enjoyed Krita. Krita was like, I'm a paint program, I'm not going to give you all that bloat, of all these other tools that you won't be using when you're drawing with. That's why it's nice to find the specific ones that do that don't have all that built-in background to it. Which is what Adobe does. Adobe has it all built in the background. I see. So is Fire Alpaca free as well? Or did you have to pay for it? Well, and like any tool, like if you don't like a particular pencil, it's best to change the pencil then until you find the one you do like. So that's why there's so many. If you really think about it, like each program is a different pencil for you to use if you're to associate it with something. So you just have to find the right pencil. And that's why I fall back on Illustrator so often. It's a familiar tool that I've used in the past. But I'm also working on the format because as this file goes, these are, was it 1600 by 2560? 2580. 2560. And these are essentially going to be able to be drawable. And I'll be able to export them out from this. Because again, it's another thing I'm familiar with in Illustrator. So this is also the template for Ging Snaps, the new version of Ging Snaps. So I'll have these scrollable images and then title and credits as I do them. And then my little cheat sheet or my X sheet here to allow me to have mouth shapes that are pretty much the same. The only difference is that women get extra bit of lower and upper lip. But yeah, I didn't have anything like scripted as for a particular one to do today. It was mainly me just messing around and seeing what I can do. Because essentially, like, I wanted to make. If I made the character straight on look, it looks very weird. So that's another thing I was messing with. So, and instead of working in like Krita where I'm using a brush that doesn't have this, where it kind of smooths it out, I thought it would just be best to draw it in Illustrator today, because this is where I'm going to end up being most of the time when I finish it. So, yeah, I remember you did. I remember a long time ago. Sad that I couldn't remember the character's name. or what animal was. I just remembered an animal. And the one aspect was the character was unlikable and being shipped off planet. So I'm glad to hear that you changed things up a bit, because it's a hard sell for an unlikable character, but they work sometimes. Ow. Bam. I have to move these. That's really what I was trying to do. Actually, I did kind of put it backwards. That head should be on this side. This head goes to the other side. So it looks more like the head turn that I was trying to make it. Yeah, that's more clarity of what, because I do remember you actually clarifying that too. It's just unfortunate, like I said, I remembered certain words, not the whole thing altogether. It's just part of my memory. Yeah. Leave. Yeah, you can always send it along, especially cross stuff. This word. Oh, that's not it. That'd be. Gonna say, yeah, it's always nice to see any updates that you're, especially because if you've been making progress, it's always nice to show off, and I'd love to see it. That straight on look is so creepy. I'm not going to use it that much. Unless I sit here and really just try to recreate and redraw it again until it looks just right. Because I even know that. What did he change? I feel like that would be. No, then that's someone else. Oh, I'm continuously practice drawing these characters. It's really what I've been doing all day today. That way I can whip them out on the fly when I want to. Because I've been practicing for most of the week. And that's when I finally got to the art style that I really want to update everything to. It's only taken me like months until I got to where I wanted. So I'm just trying to... Because like I want to be as consistent as possible, because if this is going to become a webcomic, like I'm developing to be, then I want to be able to produce it quickly and seamlessly without too much of a jarring difference in the drawing every time also. And if I know the character in and out, then I could even do short animations with them, because I'll have down pat what I'm on. All the nuance that makes up the characters. So I went with an old eye style that I used to draw, which is always this little overhang. And it was mainly because I did it because it shows the eye's depth. Same thing when you take the line underneath it. It shows that the eye's sunken in just a little bit. Dynamic. It's trying to be consistent. Same surface. Of course, when it changes. It's one of the other things is how quickly can I change it into female compared to male, or even versions thereof. Because typically when I make female, right? Up and go around like that. Then I do this. So instead of constructing the eyelashes down here with the eye, I'm just keeping with the design at the top, which doesn't quite fit the females, which is another reason why it's like, how much do I want to keep that particular style and then do this, something like this? Because when I go into the idea of, well, how does it, the same eyes, if I were to start closing them, would I be doing this more of their design? Essentially, I could do something really crazy dynamic like that, where I draw on the eyelid and then come back over and finish. Or even for the guys, where I go so this is part of what I'm also playing around with, is seeing what kind of different design can I do for the eye. Does it make more sense, or apply kiss? Keep it simple. Whereas for doing this definitely allows me to keep it there. Again. Trying to make it a little bit more roundish, an oval. So again, I'm just my cartoonish play style of making characters. So what hairstyle do you have today, my lady? Well, there. So you can see I can change it up pretty easily, and then it has a feminine feature to it. It looks like a female character, and it works. And that's what I mean by consistency, is that I want to be able to whip out these drawings quickly. And this is something of using that same style, but now it's like a different character than my original does. At the same time, I know that illustrator. Take this. Everything looks like it's done. Just make light. So black knees. Come in here. It's white eye, teeth.
definitely need more. And then what color hair? And boom, see? Characters colored within a few moments of me drawing. And that's really the biggest point, is that I can draw it out, color them, get them in position, and so I can storyboard in something else. Come here, flesh out the storyboard in the full character designs, and then get in the dialogue and get in everything, and then boom, output it. Because like I said, I can export all these separate artboards or separate frames. So if I end up using 4, I only export 1 through 4, and I rename them as such as I need. And this is the whole point of what I'm working on today, is just consistency and right now this is quick and easy to draw and get a character out for whatever purpose. And as you can see, it still fits within the same dynamic as the rest of the characters. It's just a quick little rendition of this one. So this can be another head I put down there, and just another character that I can use either for another time, because that's also another thing. It's like, that's why I recreated these heads, is that I can change the eyes and change the mouth, but the rest of the head can stay relatively the same. So I can keep reusing a lot of these pieces to keep making different characters. And that's pretty much what I'm putting up, through right now. And who knows, if I really want to be dynamic and really talk about something, this could become its own NFT if I make enough variations of eyes shapes and different eye colors, eyebrows, mouths, accessories, hairstyles. That's essentially what they've made with NFT collections. Is just made several variations, and then they bring along somebody that can program in and say randomize and utilize all those features. Essentially, that's what I'm doing here with my own original character from my comic that I started producing back in 2019, and I've only done story awards since the past couple of years. So it's been a while. But like I said, it's essentially, I could do it this way, or I draw them out, recreating them in this vector style, clean it up, and get essentially a thicker line style. Which works and then kind of doesn't work. Just depends on how I'm feeling, it seems. Because right now, as I look at it, it's like, it's not quite what I want. But say if I was to double tap on that, I kind of like the thinner line when I look at it right here. But if I look at the image, I like the thicker line there. It just depends on the background, it seems, for me. So you can see where my dilemma is, too, when I'm looking at this. Is that it's just like, not quite. No, it's on a lock layer. What I do need to do, a darker version. There's a tool and I'm forgetting it already. Isn't it slice? I think it's a slice tool. Now the big question is, do I have it already active up here, or do I have to activate it? I don't think I have it. I thought it was scissors. I thought it was slice. I thought it was a razor edge like that. Like knife? I think it's knife. Where's knife? Where's the knife? It's hidden inside one of these. Oh. let's see. I'm only trying to do this for the sake of, well, make sure that if I'm going to shadow it, then I have it all shadowed. But, no. Not this. Let's see. This will let me, because it should essentially let me. Yes. That's the tool I wanted earlier. Knife, and then boom, look at that. Already cut and changed it so it looks more three-dimensional. And that's essentially what I can do for the coloring, which is why I want to use Illustrator. Make it very easy on myself. There we go. So that actually simplifies so many things. So we're going here. Skin color. Skin color. And I'm going to go decent. Hello. Where are you? I could just make it easier on myself. But no, not going to do that. I can go in here. Ooh, I'm finding a problem with this tool. I moved a little far. That's fine. I'm gonna come in here. Make him look like he's been. Give depth. Can't even do that. So I'm sitting here. I'm creating more. Areas to give this character depth. Nope, that's not what I'm asking you to do. Essentially, make sure you don't select it all. How much? No, I think it'd just be. Gonna make a nice little. Gives a little bit dynamic. Essentially, it's every time because it's still selecting everything. Oh, well, actually, simplify that because we got that color already picked. And go in and cutting out the bottom. I need to make sure you don't keep selecting everything when I do that. Actually. And see, there is no line there either, so it's a different kind of effect, which I'm liking, but might not want to do for the upper eyelid. Exactly. It's a difference. Really give the eye some deep darkness. And what I can even do is I can go into this. Nope. Deselect eye. It's this one. Brighter and desaturating. Mm-hmm. I don't have any strokes in there. So that does mean that if I really want to, I can go into this. Say yes. Oh, it's making it on too. Alright, so that won't exactly work how I want it. But essentially I've added a bunch of features which are very easily done, as you can see, for me to do in an Illustrator. It's sad when I couldn't remember earlier. It's like, oh yeah, that's right, the knife tool is what I want. Select. Pepper. There we go. So it's not too difficult for me to just add in a bunch of shadow where I need it, where I feel like, and give this character a lot more depth. This essentially will be the major point of why I'm using Illustrator, is that I can easily do these extra features and quickly get a nice shift in how this whole character looks by just cutting portions and then recoloring them, and then boom, it's got some more depth. But the bigger point is to make it as easy and quick as possible for myself. So when I do have a script and I have it to completion, where I go, okay, now I just need to do drawings, and I just bop, 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 draw, color, shadow as I see fit, and then plop in dialogue, make sure it works smoothly, and then publish it. So that's what I've been working on, is making sure I'm getting this at that point. All right, I think, especially because, my goodness, how many errors is this thing gonna have? I'm gonna have to take a deep, dark look into why my streaming software is just messing. So with that, of course, I'm gonna call it for now. It's almost been 4 hours, and I'm starting to get to that point where it's like, gosh, I really need to go to the bathroom. It's like,
makes sense. You've been sitting here and drank some coffee for a while this whole time. So with that, thank you for joining. And then again, thank you for after. I really want to say it right. Villian? After Villian? I feel like I'm going to still say it. There's an extra letter, so it's not villain, but it's Villian. Villian. After Villian, thank you for stopping by, and it's great to catch up with you. Again, I do have if you don't have the Discord anymore, or you don't remember, there's a Discord down below in Twitch, actually. You can hit that to get the link to get back to it, or you can always use my what is it? The offline screen actually has my actual Discord name. So the BoogieMan hashtag 8516. If I remembered that correctly, I'll be surprised. But if it is, then probably. How about this? You know what? Because it's listed right there. Oh, that's right. Streamer mode's been enabled. That's why I can't get certain pictures or look up certain things. Because it protects me. But anyways. So I'm gonna call it a day. I think I've gotten quite a ways into how I want to see this character and how to simplify my work process after this point. And again, this is me also creating a template because eventually I would love to have other artists, join me on making their own webcomics and having me help them format it and have it work and have another place for them to post their stuff if they want. But otherwise, I'll be putting up my own Ging Snaps here. And I do have at least one other artist, possibly two other artists that will be joining me as I debut that. And that's something that's sooner rather than later. Probably before the end of the year. So that's why I'm kicking myself in the butt to make sure I get my own original character in order, the art style and everything. But yes. So as I do my little bouncing feet in, I'm going to say again, thank you for everyone that stopped by. Thank you if you stop after the fact and take a look. I appreciate it. And this is the BoogieMan dancing on out of here. I'll catch you critters later. Bye.